Elementals is set in a world inhabited by anthropomorphic elements of nature. The story follows the fire element Ember Lumen and water element Wade Whipple, who spend time together in the city while trying to save a convenience store owned by Ember's father named Bernie. All righty. So before we get into my review, you know how these types of videos, you know how my type of videos go, are made. The steps. And I remember watching, to this day, I remember watching the teaser trailer for this film, and I was like, I, I, I wasn't interested. I was thinking to myself, is this gonna be like Inside Out, but instead of emotions, it's elements? I don't know. I don't know. And then I watched the trailer, and then I watched the official trailer when it came out on Pixar's YouTube channel, and again, I wasn't really excited. The trailers, nothing about this movie. Excuse me one second. Okay, sorry about that. I had to mute. There was a pop-up advertisement. I had to like mute it. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So going back, the trailers for Elemental, it really didn't impress me. I wasn't really excited for this film. I just felt nothing for it. The only thing I did like, was in the trailer was was when Wade, the water guy, the water guy, he was forced or to eat like something, to eat those hot like coals or something, and he was trying to like sort of impress Ember's father by eating those hot like rocks or something. Like that was pretty fun. That made me chuckle. But the rest of the trailer was pretty, uninteresting for me. And, it didn't really grab my attention. But, it's Disney, it's Pixar, and, when this movie came out, I skipped it, and I finally watched this film over Thanksgiving week, the Thanksgiving weekend. But because of Thanksgiving, I had to I was out of town and I was unavailable to review this film. But I did see this movie before Thanksgiving. I just didn't have a time. I just to review this film. But here we are now, and let me tell you this. This movie, I really, really like this movie. I really enjoy this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, there was a part of this movie, at the end of the movie, that, I've seen like numerous, a bunch of times in other movies, in other types of movies, in other Disney or Pixar movies. So it wasn't original or anything like that, but I really, I had to like look up the director of this film, and I was really surprised. I was really surprised with what he did. Peter Sun, he pitched the concept to Pixar based on the idea of whether fire and water could ever connect or not. And the film draws inspiration from the director Peter's youth growing up as the son of immigrants in New York City during the 1970s, highlighting the city's distinct cultural and ethnic diversity, while the story is inspired by romantic films like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which came out in 1967, Moonstruck, 1987, 1967 and 1987, and Emily, or the French film, which came out in 2001. And that is something this movie is. Like the core theme of this film is that it's a story about, well, yes, it's a story about this romantic, relationship that's developing through this film, but deep down at its core, it is an immigrant story. And fucking Pixar, I can't believe they did that, and I loved it. I fucking loved it. I love how they executed this film. It was I loved how Peter's direction of this film. It was great. And the production team conducted research for spending many hours watching point of view city tours on YouTube, like Venice and Amsterdam, for inspiration. Animation tools were utilized to design the visual effects and appearance of each character, particularly its main characters. And production on Elemental lasted for 7 years, both in the studio and at the filmmakers' homes, with an estimated $200 million budget. And this movie, like I said, I loved it. And Peter's son, I looked up his name, and I was like, what movies has he been involved in? And I was like, oh, and it says here that he directed the movie The Good Dinosaur, a movie I did not see, and Elemental. He's been like involved with Disney and Disney Pixar, like with who was the voice of Emily or Emile Emile in Ratatouille, which came out in 2007, and Squishy in Monsters University, and Socks the cat in Lightyear. I was like, oh, I didn't. I was like, I did see Lightyear, and I was like, he did a great job voicing the character of Socks. But anyway, getting into this film, the animation looks very beautiful and pretty cool, as it is an amazing step up from previous Pixar productions, like Lightyear and even Toy Story. As technology, as the years go by, as we as we move forward in the future, we get technology does improve. The characters are very likable, relatable, and interesting. Particularly, the two main characters, Ember and Raid. The voice acting is incredible. I'm not even gonna know. I don't even know their name. I don't even know their names. But Leia Lewis, who voiced Ember, and Marmado Athey. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced his name. Who voiced Raid. But yeah, it's great. I do, the score. I didn't really pay attention to the score, but the music, but the song from Love, Steal the Show, is an excellent song. The idea of anthropomorphic elements is a very interesting concept, and it's brought to life in this Pixar film, and in animation, and it's beautiful, and something you would see in a Pixar film. And the relationship between Ember and her father, despite her insecurities about living up to his legacy, is pretty heartwarming. She, you know, despite her trying to, struggling to contain her anger, her temper. She does love her father. I mean, come on, what daughter doesn't love her father, her own father? Come on. It's a nice, the film has a nice world building environment, populated by a bunch of elements, earth and air. Although the rule of the universe that elements don't exist doesn't make any sense. The designs of the elements themselves are very cool and creative. And and the crying game, oh my god, the crying game was so funny. Oh, the crying game with Wade, and his family, and Raid tasting the hot coals. That's what they are, the coals, or rock, whatever, are like two great examples of like the best, the sense of humor of this film, and it was pretty funny. Just like Finding Nemo, Wally, Inside Out, and Turning Red, this movie doesn't need any actual antagonists to advance the story. It really doesn't. And like I said, I loved Peterson's direction, his direction in of this film, and his concept, from his personal story, and just bringing that in to an animated movie is just it's amazing. He, if I was him, I would be pretty proud. The scene where Ember finally admits that she really does love Wade as soon as Wade is about to evaporate to death is a very emotional scene. Uh, and so yeah, and also the film is also notable for being Pixar's first box office success since Toy Story 4. Um, for any flaws or issues I had with this film, I mean, I don't really know. It's very hard. I mean, I guess nah, I don't want to say it. I don't really want to say it. I don't think it's appropriate. Yeah, I'll keep that to myself. So yeah, it's not great. It's not Pixar's. Now, don't get me wrong. Elemental is not Pixar's number one greatest film of all time. I can name a bunch of other films, of other Pixar films, Disney Pixar films that are better than Elemental, and I'm sure you can too. But yeah, you know what's crazy? Despite opening below projections, the film, ultimately considered by analysis to be a sleeper hit, and it grossed 495 million worldwide, which is crazy. You know, wasn't really expecting that much, and I walked out, with a huge smile on my face, with a good, having a good time. So, Elemental, I believe you guys will have a good time watching this movie. If you love Disney, if you love Pixar films, definitely watch this film. Definitely watch this movie. And if you like Peterson's, amazing direction, it's just I can't help but think about, I can't stop thinking about how, you know, he Peter drew inspiration from his youth, as the son of immigrants. It's just it's amazing. It's amazing. I think you guys are gonna have a great time watching this movie. Well, a good time, a really good time watching this movie, as I did. But anyway, that's all I have to say for Elemental. Thank you, everyone, for taking your time to listening to my review. Please do me two huge favor. Please like and subscribe, but most importantly, comment, because I would like to know your thoughts about this movie, Elemental. But yeah, please like and subscribe, because when you like and subscribe, you really boost and you help my channel, go further and be brighter and better. And that's something I really would really do appreciate. So yeah. And if you subscribe, you would be part of my family and my community. And I would love for one day for this community to keep growing into this ginormous family. So anyway, I rattled on too much. And I'll see you guys in my next video.